The 2024 presidential election could come down to a handful of swing states, and each candidate has several potential paths to reach the 270 electoral votes. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris focus heavily on critical battlegrounds like Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. But with so many possibilities, who has the edge? Let's break down 4 paths each candidate might take on election night. Starting with Trump's best path to victory involves securing wins in Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Harris would take Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin in this scenario, but it wouldn't be enough to reach 270 electoral votes. This path would result in a final tally of 281 electoral votes for Trump and 257 for Harris, securing a Trump victory. But how likely is it? This is Trump's most probable path to victory. He's favored in Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, 3 Sunbelt states that have leaned Republican for decades. Early voting data in Arizona shows Republicans leading with 42% of the vote, while Democrats trail at 33%. In the latest polling, Atlas Intel reports Trump with 51.9%, giving him a 6.8-point lead over Harris, who sits at 45.1%. According to Real Clear Politics, Trump has 49.1%, leading Harris by 2.7 points, who has 46.4%. The Silver Bulletin poll reflects a similar margin, with Trump at 49% and Harris at 46.9%, giving Trump a 2.1-point advantage. Early voting data in Georgia indicates Republicans at 48%, narrowly leading Democrats at 45%. The latest Atlas Intel poll places Trump at 48.6%, giving him a 1.8-point lead over Harris at 46.8%. Real Clear Politics shows Trump at 49.3%, leading Harris by 2.6 points, who stands at 46.7%. The Silver Bulletin poll has Trump at 49%, with a 1.5-point advantage over Harris at 47.5%. The latest polls in North Carolina show Atlas Intel with Trump at 50.4%, giving him a 3.8-point lead over Harris, who has 46.8%. Real Clear Politics reports Trump at 49.1%, leading Harris by 1.7 points, who stands at 47.4%. The Silver Bulletin poll shows Trump at 48.8%, with a 1.3-point advantage over Harris at 47.5%. If Trump secures Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, he only needs to win one blue wall state, Michigan, Pennsylvania, or Wisconsin, to surpass 270. But what about Harris? Harris's most straightforward route to victory hinges on securing the blue wall states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. In this scenario, Trump would capture Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina, but it would not be enough to push him over the 270 vote threshold. With Harris at 270 electoral votes and Trump at 268, this pathway underscores the importance of the 3 northern battlegrounds for a Democratic win. If Harris successfully holds these historically Democratic states, she would secure the presidency with a narrow but decisive victory. But is this possible? The 3 blue wall states went for Trump in 2016, but flipped back to Biden in 2020, suggesting his 2016 win may have been an outlier. The Democratic camp is optimistic due to changing demographics in these states, which could tilt the electorate back in their favor. But the latest polls are not favoring Harris, especially in Pennsylvania. In Michigan, Atlas Intel shows Trump at 49.3%, leading Harris by 1.5 points, who stands at 47.8%. Real Clear Politics has Harris slightly ahead with 48.3%, a 0.6-point lead over Trump at 47.7%. The Silver Bulletin poll also shows Harris in the lead with 48.5%, a 1.3-point advantage over Trump at 47.2%. In Pennsylvania, Atlas Intel places Trump at 49.1%, leading Harris by 1.7 points at 47.4%. Real Clear Politics shows a tighter race with Trump at 48.2%, leading Harris by 0.4 points, who is at 47.8%. The Silver Bulletin poll has Trump at 48.3%, a narrow 0.3-point lead over Harris at 48%. In Wisconsin, Atlas Intel reports Trump at 49.3%, leading Harris by 1.3 points at 48%. Real Clear Politics shows Harris slightly ahead with 48.4%, just a 0.1-point lead over Trump at 48.3%. The Silver Bulletin poll shows Harris leading with 48.6%, an advantage of 0.8 points over Trump at 47.8%. However, if Harris can secure Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, while Trump holds on to his Sunbelt strengths, Harris will narrowly clinch the election. Trump's alternate path to victory relies on winning Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, and flipping Wisconsin, allowing him to reach 272 electoral votes. Harris would take Michigan, Nevada, and Pennsylvania in this scenario, but her total would fall short at 266 electoral votes. By capturing Wisconsin, along with his strong Sunbelt base, Trump could secure the presidency without needing Pennsylvania. But how likely is it? This path gives Trump a bit more leeway in the northern battlegrounds. While Pennsylvania is the biggest prize with 19 electoral votes, if Trump secures Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, he could still win by flipping Wisconsin instead. The latest polls are very supportive of this path. According to Atlas Intel, Trump leads in Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. In Arizona, Trump holds his most comprehensive lead with 52.3% to Harris's 45.8%, giving him a 6.5-point advantage. In North Carolina, where both candidates campaigned Saturday, Trump leads with 50.5% over Harris at 47.1%, a margin of 3.4 points. In Georgia, Trump is ahead with 50.1% to Harris's 47.6%, holding a 2.5-point lead. In Pennsylvania, Trump stands at 49.6% compared to Harris's 47.8%, leading by 1.8 points. The closest contest is in Wisconsin, where Trump has 49.7% to Harris's 48.6%, giving him a narrow 1.1-point lead. However, Harris also has an alternative option to secure the presidency. Harris's alternative path to victory involves winning Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, and Nevada. Trump would take Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, but it wouldn't be enough to surpass the 270-vote threshold. This path would give Harris 279 electoral votes to Trump's 259, securing her the presidency. But how likely is it? This path is less likely but still possible. This path would allow Harris to lose one or even two blue wall states and still reach 270. However, Harris needs a stronger than expected turnout from black voters in Georgia and North Carolina for this path to work. She will also rely on suburban voters around metro areas like Atlanta and Charlotte to continue leaning Democratic. So what do the polls say? Harris is struggling against Trump in North Carolina and Georgia. In Georgia, Atlas Intel shows Trump at 48.6%, leading Harris by 1.8 points at 46.8%. Real Clear Politics reports Trump at 49.3%, with a 2.6-point lead over Harris at 46.7%. The Silver Bulletin poll shows Trump at 49%, giving him a 1.5-point advantage over Harris at 47.5%. In North Carolina, Atlas Intel places Trump at 50.4%, a 3.8-point lead over Harris at 46.8%. Real Clear Politics shows Trump at 49.1%, leading Harris by 1.7 points, with Harris at 47.4%. The Silver Bulletin poll reports Trump at 48.8%, with a 1.3-point edge over Harris at 47.5%. But if Harris wins North Carolina and Georgia, it bodes well for her prospects in other swing states. So what's the state of the race? The race for the White House could come down to any of these four scenarios. With Trump leading in parts of the Sun Belt and Harris having a stronghold in the blue wall states, both candidates have viable paths to 270. Ultimately, swing states will decide the outcome. What do you think?